What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated two-time heavyweight world champion British superstar boxer Tyson the Gypsy King Fury. Well, he weighs in on his good friend, undefeated two-division world champion, reigning WBO super middleweight world champion British superstar boxer Billy Joe Saunders, taking on four-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer, who is currently the unified WBC, WBA super middleweight world champion, Saul Canelo Alvarez. With that said, he says Tyson Fury, when weighed in and given his breakdown, he stated that he doesn't believe Canelo Alvarez is what everybody makes him out to be. He says he's a great fighter, but he believes that most fighters have beaten themselves or are just in awe of being in the ring and just excited to say they shared the ring with Canelo Alvarez. So he says essentially all of these fighters have beaten themselves before they even stepped in the ring with Canelo Alvarez. He says it's somewhat of the Mike Tyson effect. He says you have people, they automatically are starstruck by being in Canelo Alvarez, presence. He says, and this is because the media has hyped up Canelo Alvarez to be this monster that he's not. He says, I've been saying all along, if there was a guy, other than obviously the loss that he suffered to iconic, legendary Hall of Famer Floyd Mayweather, that Billy Joe Saunders was the man to beat Canelo Alvarez. He states that Canelo Alvarez, don't get me wrong, is a great fighter, but I just believe that no boxer is invincible. And they make it out as if Canelo Alvarez is invincible, as if Canelo Alvarez doesn't have a loss and 2 draws already on his resume. He says he's very beatable. It's just that you can't beat yourself when you go in the ring, and you can't let the media and the perception of Canelo Alvarez beat you. Don't be in awe of Canelo Alvarez. Don't be starstruck. He says this is what took place when a lot of fighters, when they fought Mike Tyson, they already beat themselves before they stepped in the ring with Iron Mike Tyson. So when they actually stepped in the ring, they didn't feel confident that they was going to win the fight. So this is Tyson Fury's thoughts on Canelo Alvarez. Okay, I say the same. Floyd Mayweather, he just recently came out and he stated that Terrence Crawford, undefeated 3-division world champion, is still the pound for pound king over Canelo Alvarez. He says there's a lot of guys that are better than Canelo Alvarez. He says Canelo Alvarez obviously is a heck of a fighter. And that's saying something coming from Floyd Mayweather, because obviously that's the only loss on Canelo Alvarez's resume. So the more he doesn't lose, the more wins he racks up in his journey, in his career, the better Floyd Mayweather looks, right? So Floyd Mayweather, he essentially stated that he believes Billy Joe Saunders has the tools to beat Canelo Alvarez. So Floyd Mayweather is under the belief that Billy Joe Saunders could beat Canelo Alvarez. He says as long as he don't believe that he's going to go in there and duplicate everything I did and use the angles I use, he says he's going to have his own game plan, but he has the boxing ability. He's one of the best fighters to come out of the UK, and he believes that he can beat Canelo Alvarez. I believe that Billy Joe Saunders has all the tools to beat Canelo Alvarez. Will he bring that to fruition and showcase it is a whole nother story. Because like Tyson Fury is saying, a lot of fighters, they beat themselves before they even actually step in the ring with Canelo Alvarez. And, is Billy Joe Saunders going to weather that storm? Is he going to calm the storm? Okay, is he going to be able to, seize the moment and, essentially showcase all his talents? That's a whole nother story. But Canelo Alvarez cannot be overlooked. Canelo Alvarez has one glaring flaw to me, and that is the fact that Canelo Alvarez, he has very slow feet. Canelo Alvarez, he's built different. Okay, Canelo Alvarez, he has very fast hands. He puts his combinations together beautifully. He has power in both hands. He has a high ring IQ. His one flaw is that he has slow feet. He has a granted chin. Now, you've seen him buzz in the Triple G fight. We saw him buzzed in the Floyd Mayweather fight. We saw him buzzed a few times, but you never actually see him in a compromised position. So to me, I believe that Canelo Alvarez has a granted chin. Okay, I believe that Canelo Alvarez, it has a great poker face as well. You never see him, his facial expression, his mood, his body language is always the same. It's very all the way across the board. It's very impressive to me that his body language always stays the same, no matter what's taking place in the fight. And I believe that's what makes Canelo Alvarez so great. The greats have the ability to slow the fight game down, okay, to slow everything down, not panic, and they're able to stay cool, calm, and collective regardless of what's taking place in the circumstance in front of them. And I believe this goes for Canelo Alvarez. I believe this would make Canelo Alvarez great. Now, we see Billy Joe Saunders, on the other hand, when he fights lesser opponents, Billy Joe Saunders, he fights down to their level. Canelo Alvarez, he stays the same all the way across the board. When he fights lesser opponents, when he's supposed to win, he wins in the manner he's supposed to win. When he fights high-level opponents, he still has the same body language, and he still performs to the highest level of his ability. When we see Billy Joe Saunders in the ring with lesser opponents, we don't see that. Now, when he stepped up against Chris Eubanks Jr., when he stepped up against David Lemieux, he put on masterclass performances. Can he duplicate that against Canelo Alvarez? Canelo Alvarez is not Chris Eubanks Jr. Canelo Alvarez is not David Lemieux. He doesn't have the flaws that they have, okay? Chris Eubanks Jr. has, issues on the defensive end. He transitions from defense and offense very poorly, in my opinion. He swings wide and leaves himself wide open. David Lemieux has very slow feet. He has a lot of power, but he has very slow feet, and he doesn't have the fastest hands. Well, Canelo Alvarez, like I stated, his glaring weakness is the fact that he has slow feet. But Canelo Alvarez, his hands are very fast. He has a granted chin. He bends at the waist very well. He transitions from offense to defense very well. And he puts his combinations together very well. And on top of so, he has a high ring IQ, okay? He understands how to set up his punches. He understands. He's a great judge of distance and range, okay? Now, I believe that that's something that he worked on after his fights with Erislandy Lara and his fight with Floyd Mayweather. I believe that's something that he truly, truly worked on, was his timing and his distance and his judgment of range, okay? He set up his opponents very well. You can see that in the Amir Khan fight. Now, I know people are going to say, well, Amir Khan doesn't have the greatest chin in the world, which is true, but he still set the punch up, okay? He did so against Sergey Krashenkovalev, so he's able to judge his distance and judge and use his timing very, very well. That's something that I believe that Billy Joe Saunders is going to have trouble with, okay? I believe he's going to, have an issue with Canelo Alvarez's ability, his ring IQ, so he's going to have trouble cutting the ring off on Billy Joe Saunders, because Billy Joe Saunders is a slick southpaw boxer with very, very good feet, and he has good footwork and educated footwork. So I believe that Billy Joe Saunders' ability to utilize the ring will give Canelo Alvarez trouble. But I believe that Canelo Alvarez's timing and Canelo Alvarez's judgment of distance will play a major part in this entire equation as well. And I believe that would be the key for Canelo Alvarez to win the fight. And I believe the key for Billy Joe Saunders is going to be to understand Canelo's timing. He's going to have to get Canelo Alvarez's timing and distance down, and he's going to have to do so at least 3 different times, because Canelo Alvarez has the ability to change the trajectory on his punches, the speed on his punches, okay? He knows how to set them up. That's what makes him great, in my opinion, is his timing, okay? And his poker face and his granted chin. So he puts you in a position where you don't know if he's hurt, you don't know if he's tired. He never shows anything. He never wavers, okay? And so Billy Joe Saunders is going to have to be able to judge this, because Billy Joe Saunders, for a guy that's 5'11" and a super middleweight, he doesn't have the longest arms in the world. He has 70-inch arms, 71-inch arms. He's only have an inch arm reach over Canelo Alvarez. The guys that gave him trouble, Floyd Mayweather has 72-inch arms, okay? Erislandy Lara, 75-inch arms. So they have a distinct arm reach advantage over Canelo Alvarez to go along with their slick boxing style, which Billy Joe Saunders, he just simply does not have that, okay? He has slick southpaw boxing ability, but he doesn't have long arms. So that means that he's going to have to be in Canelo Alvarez's range to be able to touch Canelo Alvarez, which means Canelo Alvarez can in return touch him. So I believe this is going to be a high-level chess match, and I believe that Billy Joe Saunders' chin is going to be tested, and I think that Canelo Alvarez, I believe Canelo Alvarez' IQ is going to be tested. So we got to see how this plays out. Do I think he's overrated? No. Do I think that he's a pound-for-pound king? No, I don't. But I believe he's a great fighter. I believe he has one glaring weakness, and that's his feet. He transitioned from offense to defense well. He has great combinations he puts together well. He has a high ring IQ, fast hands. He has a granted chin. The issue with Canelo Alvarez, he has slow feet. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But Tyson Fury, he believes Canelo Alvarez is not the monster they make him out to be. And he believes Billy Joe Saunders is going to win this fight running away. So make sure y'all hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Wow.